Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper into if-else statements. So as you can see here, we have a class called baby robot, and it can store a secret code, and it can do this react method. And in the react method, we have an if-else statement. So this react method will do a bunch of things depending on the secret code that we give the baby robot. As you can see, there are 4 different scenarios here. So how is this if-else statement triggered? And what is the process that goes on in the background? So let's go ahead and test it out. So if we go ahead and instantiate the baby robot, we can feed it the secret code and we can see how it reacts. So let's go ahead and set it equal to 0. So if we set the code to 0, the baby robot will react with, I already know that, because it satisfied this condition of the secret code being equal to 0. And by the way, this is called a comparison operator, and it's the comparison operator for equivalence. As you can see, it's quite different from the single equal sign. The single equal sign is what we use to input stuff inside variables or constants, while the double equal sign is what we use to compare two different values. So this is a comparison operator, and it's completely different from the single equal sign. Okay, so when we put in 0, the baby robot said that it already knows that because we satisfied this condition. Now if we go ahead and set this equal to 1, the baby robot will react with laughter. That's because we satisfied this other condition. Secret code is greater than or equal to 1. So this is another one of those comparison operators. This time it's greater than or equal to 1. And it didn't satisfy the secret code equal to 0, so this one was completely ignored. What if we set the secret code equal to 3? As you can see, that will satisfy the laughter reaction, but will it trigger the no way reaction? So let's see what happens here. If we run the playground, you'll notice that the baby robot just laughed and it completely ignored this statement right here. That's because if-else statements run from top to bottom, and it ignores anything else at the bottom if a condition has already been met at the top. And we use else ifs here to provide additional conditions aside from the default else. So whatever we do, even if we put our secret code to 1,000,000, we will never be able to run this no way statement. That's because this one will always be triggered because it's first in the hierarchy. But what if we set it equal to -1? If we set it to -1 and we run the playground, you'll notice that the baby robot says, tell me the code. That's because we didn't satisfy any of these conditions. And instead, it went to the final else statement, where it printed, tell me the code. So that's the basics. And by the way, there's also another comparison operator here that is very useful and you will often see in programming, and that is the not equals. By using the exclamation mark and an equal sign together, we create a not equals operator. So if the secret code is not equal to 0, it will always print this statement. So let's go ahead and try -10. If we run the playground, it will say, I already know that. If we put it to 10, the baby robot will react the same way. And it's only when we put it at 0 that we trigger the else statement. And it ignored everything else because not equal to 0 and equal to 0 are the only two possibilities that occur in this if-else statement. And these else ifs are completely ignored because the secret code does not equal to 0 is at the top of the hierarchy of the if-else statement. So just to review, if-else statements run from top to bottom, and whatever is at the top will be prioritized first, ignoring everything else at the bottom should the condition be met, except for the else statement, which runs whenever none of the conditions are satisfied in the if statement. And that's the basics of if-else statements.